Welcome to Cardano Over Coffee with your hosts Darlington from Lido Nation, Jenny from the Blockchain, Brian from Hero Pool, TCT, Blockjock, Epoch Pool, and the always chillin' Cook Time. On today's show, we have David Wilson, CEO of Crossroad Press Publishing. He's a USA Today best-selling author and Bram Stoker Award winner. He's here to talk about his upcoming drop on Book.io. Then we talk to Six City and get some music performances from them. Six City is an NFT minting platform who specializes in music and multimedia on the Cardano Blockchain. They've recently taken over the Charlz Token. Listen in to find out more about that. Grab your coffee, sit back, and listen as we talk to David Wilson and then jam out with Six City.
It's what I think about when I think about interoperability. Anyways, that's a minute. Is Sir David, is he the first guest? We'll keep that going. Big round of emojis for our first guest. We're going to spend 20 minutes or so chatting, getting to know them, maybe asking some questions. I'm sure Blackjack will make an inappropriate joke at some point.
I'll try not to. I'm on steroid. I have to be careful.
Welcome to the stage. Are you behind the Crossroad Press Publishing?
Welcome.
Welcome. Good morning.
Glad to be here.
Why don't you give us the short version?
So Hero tells us this is the first time you do Twitter Spaces, so we'll go easy with you.
Right. Yeah. It's the first time I've spoken. I've listened a bunch of times, but I'm happy to hear that my voice is actually reaching you because that means it worked.
It works. Yay. Yeah, why don't you give us the short version of who you are and what did you do before blockchain?
Okay. Well, I'm still doing all the things I did before blockchain, but I'm happy to have that added to it. I've been writing since probably the mid 1980s. I've got about 40 books out. Wrote for Star Trek Voyager, wrote for Stargate Atlantis, whole bunch of books for White Wolf, the gaming company, and a bunch on my own. And was in the U.S. Navy for 20 years, published a magazine off of a Navy ship for a while. Got out, and mostly I do IT and security now. But we formed Crossroad Press. Basically, it was supposed to just be my books, my older ones coming back as ebooks. And then all my friends saw that I could actually do that. So they wanted me to do their books. And I said, not for free. So now I have a publishing company with 500 authors and 3,000 titles, and still trying to keep the writing going. That was all pre-crypto.
That's quite the spread.
Yeah, I don't know if it's really pre-Cardano because I bought crypto for the last several years, and I had Cardano, but it wasn't until another author that's at Book.io mentioned Book.io that I kind of really jumped in on Cardano ahead of the others.
Yeah, I guess that's the next question too, right? Like, what's been your experiences with other chains besides Cardano? If there's anyone that's outside of just the currency and the investment side of things.
No, this is the only one that I've actually been involved with any of the projects or made any transactions. I've heard some great horror stories about Ethereum transactions, but other than that, I mostly just read about what was going on and chose the ones that people seemed to think were going to do well. Ended up with a bunch of Cardano at one point.
Cool. Well, welcome to the space. Welcome to the chain.
But I do have a question because you mentioned that a friend of yours told you about Book.io and you want to jump in before the others. So I want to hear about your experience with Book.io. How is that? Is that the word spreading amongst authors? How's that working?
I think so. There's a small group of authors, Jonasis, John Mers, Stephen Seville, and I have, for decades, somehow ended up right at the beginning of a new thing and said, we're going to do this before anybody else. We were, ahead of the ebook stuff a little bit, ahead of a whole bunch of other different kinds of promotions. So when Joe put his book up and sold it out in less than a minute, that got my attention. And I just contacted him and he sent me to the page for book.io for authors. I think I was a little ahead of the big crowd. And after that, I just had the Zoom meeting with Jason and things have been moving steadily forward since. Although I did not expect to end up owning $4,000 worth of NFTs by the time I got there.
It happens to us. But it's exciting. I think Book.io or Book.io, how do you pronounce it? Is it Book.io?
I don't know. Mostly I just call it Book, I think.
Book.
But
Yeah, I guess that's how they want to be called, I guess. When is your book releasing?
my book releases first one on Wednesday, next Wednesday.
How
And,
many NFTs do you have out there for the
um,
world?
there's going to be 1,000 of them, which is a smaller number than most of the collectible editions. But that's been one of the things that I've been watching and trying to pay attention to, is to try and analyze from the books that went before. Where's that collectible sweet spot, and what will make these worth more money later when actual readers editions come out cheap. Because that's basically what these are. I've been a book collector all my life. There's signed limited editions, and they're expensive. They get rare, and then people want them, and they get more expensive. And that's what's happening with the early releases from books. So I'm glad to be one of those. I'm trying to build a world around it myself, my own community, I guess, in ADA, so that I can help build that sale. Because I don't want to be forgotten after the big flow goes through.
Can you hear me now, Lido?
Yes, you
Yes,
sound great. Thanks. Thanks for indulging me.
It's really been it's a huge growth period for book, and that's been kind of interesting to watch, because we're also right in the middle of that, in their Discord, and stuff is happening really fast for these guys. I imagine they don't sleep a lot.
I know. They really are moving. It's interesting. They're doing something very different that I haven't seen in other chains. Maybe because the technology here also
Well, I
works
think,
in their favor too.
well, and they built an ebook publishing company before this, so they're not out of their comfort zone, and they're trying to build an actual store. I mean, there's going to actually be a time, I think, where you just go out just like you would to Amazon.com, and the person with the need for a book just buys the book and gets it, and doesn't even know there's any chain stuff going on behind it at all. And I know that's their goal. They're trying to build a bookstore that people can own their books, instead of like Amazon, where you say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing on a review and you've lost your entire account and you can't get your books at all. As an author and a publisher, I really appreciate that.
Neat, as Lido will say if he was here. Well, David, is there anything particular you want to share with us? If anybody has any questions for David, please come on up, do the hand thing. We can
I
sort
do
of go
have,
back and forth. Yeah, go ahead.
actually, I do have one thing I wanted to mention. On my webpage, there's a mint button, and I created some NFTs myself with my own minimal skills in Midjourney. For people who want to get a discount on my books forever. Everything that comes out through Book.io, they'll get the same as an OG with a Gutenberg Bible would get buying other book products. So I don't know if there's a link or any way to do that. It's davidnealwilson.com.
Oh, let's check it out you'll probably have it on your timeline, right? Did you post about it?
Probably somewhere on my timeline. I could put it on my timeline. I have my
Yeah,
computer
I
open
think
too.
it's on your timeline. And
Yeah.
if you want to, you can click on the chat bubble and just paste it in there.
Yeah,
That's
at the top
actually
of the page, there's a tab that says the worlds of David Neal Wilson, and that's the one that has the NFT stuff building on it.
neat. Um,
That was an
Oh, it's
exciting
only
page.
$2.99. I see it.
Oh no, that's a
Oh,
real
that's
book.
something. That's a real book on Amazon. Ooh, yeah, the
Yeah, that's
Devils
my
and the Flaws.
yeah,
Nice.
that just released on the 3rd of January. That's my newest book. Just hit bookstores.
what's up, Tim?
Hey, what's up, Lido? What's up, Jenny? Good to see everybody. I wanted to come up here and prompt Dave a little bit, because I feel like he needs to really start talking about what amazing things he's been able to accomplish as an author a little bit, and that's one. So I want to ask him about what was the process like winning a Bram Stoker Award for a story, which is a pretty significant achievement for an author. And then my second question is I want to know, what is this book about that's minting on Wednesday? Like, what specifically? I think I understand it's the start of a series, so there's going to be more than one book. So it'd be great to know a little bit more about like both his past, but also like what's coming. Like, what's this book about, and why should we be excited about it?
Well, the Bram Stoker Award. At the time that I won that, I was really active in the Horror Writers Association. At one point, I was president. I was kind of surprised, actually, that book that you got a copy of, Defining Moments, which has that story in it, was also nominated that same year. But that was printed in Wales, and it was a very limited edition. I think maybe 300 or fewer copies were ever printed. And still that story managed to win the award for that year. So that was quite the honor. I've got two. I got that one, and I got one for poetry, but I'm still angry about the poetry one because at the time I got the award for poetry, I was president, and I was trying to do away with the award for poetry because at the time the wording said professional achievement in horror poetry, and I just don't think that's a thing. But they gave me the award that year, so I guess that was my answer to that. As far as a book that's coming out on Wednesday, Heart of a Dragon, that's the first book in the Donovan DeChance Chronicles. Donovan's he's been alive for a long time, since the Old West, and has a familiar named Cleo that's an Egyptian Mao cat that's about the size of a bobcat. And his whole purpose in life has been to gather and hide away and protect dangerous objects and books and manuscripts and spells. In Heart of a Dragon, there's a voodoo priestess in a San Valences, California, which I made up, but it's based on San Diego, who is trying to summon the Loa like they do at voodoo ceremonies, but to keep them in gang members, so that she ends up with this army of demon gang members, basically. And Donovan is up against them with an old Mexican sorcerer and a young artist named Salvatore, who paints dragons, but when he paints the dragons, it connects the motorcycle club, the Dragons, with their own particular dragon in another dimension. So quite a lot of stuff going on in that one. And there's 5 books in that series so far. And another one, Nevermore, a novel of love, loss, and Edgar Allan Poe that's sort of in between 4 and 5. So there's a lot of stuff to come, and there's a lot of other worlds that blend in with it. It seems like all my books, kind of like Stephen King, have just come together in one big world. They keep bumping into each other. And there's a potato book. Tim's going to be in that also, but one of the things that we're doing over in the book Discord is creating an anthology of characters where all of the living authors there are writing stories with their main characters that involve potatoes. I just finished
Since
my...
Fart involved, you know who Fart is. She's a person in the community, and she's all about potatoes, and she's always asking people about potatoes. So
I don't know, but she might have been involved from the
I
beginning.
have to let her know about it. She's gonna love that.
My story was the peeling.
Oh, I love that. The peeling. That sounds scary.
Yeah, and it's got Donovan DeChance in it, but it's also got my other favorite character from the Old Mill, North Carolina mysteries, Cletus J. Diggs.
Oh, are you in North Carolina?
Yeah.
I
Not
am
quite
too.
right, Reverend Cletus J. Diggs.
Those mills are spooky, so that they make up for great stories, to be honest.
Yeah, we have a bunch of abandoned ones here from when the cotton business just kind of changed and all the processing got shipped overseas. So all they do now is just kind of cart it down to a boat and ship it off. They're turning one in Edenton, North Carolina into I don't know if it's a bed and breakfast or if it's a...
Oh, it sounds like we're close. I'm in Graham, the Burlington area. I have a lot of those too.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that is. I'm in just outside Elizabeth City.
Oh, okay. No, you're like a little more that way. Yeah. By the swamp.
Yep. And all the stories involve the swamp. So
Get in there, Blackjack.
Hey, nice to meet you, David. I'm curious. One is the artwork that was done for The Devils in the Flaws and Other Dark Truths. Absolutely love that artwork. Is that something along the lines of what you're bringing with your NFTs?
It's not, because the way book works, they've been you have to generate so many covers to create the rarity and everything that Billy's doing those in AI. I don't know Billy's last name. Somebody else here probably does. So that's been a big process too, because I've looked at hundreds of these things trying to picture which ones actually work. The artwork on the collection is from a guy named Edward J. Neal. He's here on Twitter also. Really amazing stuff, and a lot of stuff along those lines. I will go
Is David
check
L. Wilson your real name, or is that your author
name. David Neal Wilson is my real name. And when I started writing, I thought all writers had to have a pen name. and I had just read a book about a Welsh bard named Niall, or Niall, I guess it's Niall. So I just went with David Niall, and then nobody believed any of the things that were published were by me because it didn't say Wilson. So since I
I
already
know
had,
you have to have the three, so that's why I
yeah,
was asking.
yeah, so since I had fans already, I just added the Wilson to the end so I wouldn't lose the people who knew the middle name, and now I'm stuck with it.
Well,
I
it's
guess
a great writer's name, and you've got a wealth of stuff that you've put out, and it's absolutely amazing. So I'm glad that you're on here. I'm being introduced to it, and I'm going to jump down the rabbit hole here with what you put out. So thank you for that.
Anti-coffee came up, so I'm happy to see you here.
So I couldn't miss this. David, nice to talk to you. This is Brian from Hero Pool. We were chatting. I was the coffee cup that was messaging you earlier. So it's good to have you here. I got a question for you. I see that you've written some pretty awesome books in the past. Can you tell me what it's like to write a Star Trek book?
We're going to go in the Wayback Machine for me to tell you this, but yeah, it was really interesting. When I first got the deal to do that, Voyager hadn't even come out yet. I just happened to be on the old Genie bulletin board network when John Ordover, the editor, was there, and he put out the call for novels, and nobody really seemed interested. So I asked him for the Bible. At that point, I had sold one book, but it never got published. But on the face of having sold a book, I was able to get that deal. And writing in universes like that is very strange because they have specific things that you can and can't do, particularly with main characters. And it was really an experience. I enjoyed writing it, and I had a lot of fun with it. And I've done a lot of things like that, but I don't really like writing in other people's universes as much. But that was fun. One of the complaints about the book was this seems to have been written, to the first Bible that came out when it finally got published. And I said, well, it was before there was even a show. I wrote this book, and that wasn't my fault.
That's kind of awesome to know that you actually wrote the book before it even actually came out.
Yeah, all I had was a Bible that was telling us how the characters would act, and then when the show came out, it was not exactly that, and some of the characters weren't even there, so that was fun. Well, yeah, it was interesting.
Kind of makes it like almost one of a kind, right? I mean, because some of the characters never existed, and
Oh no, they made me fix it.
Oh, they made you fix it.
Yeah, it's just that I started writing it before the show came out, and then by the time they got around to Pocket Books to editing it, they're like, "This isn't right." I said, "Yeah, I know. I'm watching the show," but I had turned it in way ahead of time, so.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I was wondering how it felt to write in another person's kind of reality. I'm real big into the fantasy world. Robert Jordan, Brandon Sanderson type authors, right? So like when he took over the whole Wheel of Time series, to come in and write in somebody else's world, I thought, and then I never talked to anybody that wrote like a Star Trek in somebody else's, like a really big fantasy world. So interesting take on that.
I had more fun on the Stargate book, I think. I wrote that with my wife, but we were big Stargate Atlantis fans, and the opportunity came up to do that. We actually published the ebooks for Stargate for a while, so I got the opportunity to be involved with the publishers and ended up writing the book. And I had a really good time with that one. But it happened at a time when I was already immersed in a show, which was kind of different from the Star Trek show that didn't exist yet.
Yeah, because you kind of have background and, you could build off of things.
Yeah, and we had favorite characters that we knew we wanted to work with. And, there's a funny story about that. Robert Picardo, the guy that was the Voyager medical assistant, the holographic doctor, for a short period of time on Stargate Atlantis, he was the acting commander. I met him at a convention, and I told him I wrote a book where during the time when you're commander of Stargate. He's like, I wasn't the commander, I was the doctor. I think he was a little inebriated at the time, but it was fun. He didn't remember being the captain on Stargate.
That's pretty funny.
I'm glad you like fantasy though, because you'll probably like the book that's coming out. It's more along the Jim Butcher lines, I think, except for I think his magician gets his ass kicked a lot.
Yeah, he does.
Donovan holds his own a little better than that.
Can you tell me about the DeChance Chronicles? I'm just kind of glancing through some of the things that you've done.
Yeah, basically they're just stories about Donovan's life, but he came into his powers and longevity back in the Old West. You don't get that origin story to the third book where he tells somebody, but and that'll probably be a drop, by the way, if people are holding books 1 and 2. In the second one, he's called by a really old vampire because that vampire's lover has been kidnapped, and they want him to go try and find out who did it. So he does all this mostly with his 2 familiars. By the time the book 2 comes around, he's got an old raven named Asmodeus, and he's got the cat Cleo. And then he's got his life partner Amethyst, who's more of an earth magician, Wiccan kind of. She's pretty badass too, though. She saved him several times. And it just goes on from there. You get her origin story comes out in the 5th book, which merges a whole bunch of my books. Edgar Allan Poe's a character that comes in after Nevermore, the standalone book that's kind of in between. And he and Donovan share several experiences where they walk into old Edgar Allan Poe stories. And both Poe and the original character are there, but they're both Poe. So he's meeting himself and trying to get himself out of trouble, which has always been fun. Yeah, it's a big mess of books now, because when they went to book 4 of the DeChance Chronicles, Callie's Tale, they're trying to go to the Great Dismal Swamp to kill the person that made Callie into a vampire because it frees her up from stuff. Well, he turns out to be this ancient alchemist that's living in a bunker in the Great Dismal Swamp. And that's when they all get together with Cletus J. Diggs, and all those stories start blending together. Just, there's so many. There's another series called the OCLT, I'll never remember what it stands for, but we call it a cult. It's just a group of people that step in when the world has problems that regular people can't solve. And one of them is a magician named Rebecca York, and another one's a computer genius, and they get all involved with Cletus and Donovan and a couple of other stories. Even one book that I wrote long ago was just a standalone vampire novel, Darkness Falls, or Darkness Falling. That became the setting for the last A Midnight Dreary, which is the last so far of the Chance Chronicles, where they all come back together in the place and the setting and the people that were in that novel. So that one tied back into, I think the very first novel I wrote is the only one that doesn't in some way tie into all the others.
Yeah, I was kind of looking through, and it seems like a lot of them tie together, and I really like that. I'm going to definitely do a lot of it. Probably buy some of your books, because some of these definitely interest me.
I hope it's in my favor here, because, building that community around the worlds of David Neal Wilson, I'd like to just continue that. And I intend to have some questions, like a quiz. I'll put together 50 questions, and you have to answer 10 of them. And to answer them, you'll have to have actually read the book. And then when they reach a certain level, there'll be something dropped or some special privilege or something. I'm still trying to work it all out in my head, because, as you all know, I'm new to this ADA thing, also to Discord. But I've been doing IT all my life, so I think I can pull it together.
Well, I could tell you one thing. The coffee cup over there, which is Lido Nation, Jenny, TCT, Blockjock, Quasar, the Wizard, Tim over there, Jarhead, Cook, pretty much everybody that's in this room. If you need help with anything, just reach out to them. They'll be glad to help you. That's one thing that you'll find about this blockchain community called Cardano, is they're willing to help a lot of people. So,
I have absolutely noticed that. And the generosity over at Book and the people that are in their Discord is crazy. Tim and I might be doing something with pies eventually, too.
We even have movie makers. Are we going to see your books turn into movies?
I would love to see my books turn into movies.
And games.
Yeah, I don't know as much about writing games, but Steve Seville, one of the other authors, has written a lot of them. So that'll be interesting. Maybe I can talk to him. I would love to see the movies. I've written treatments for it. I do have a movie that was produced, but I wrote it to the outline of the director and actress that filmed it, and it's more like a really long music video than a movie, I think. Also, I'm pretty sure I have the record for the number of times the F word was used in a movie.
Okay, now you're my favorite author now.
Are you
Although-
Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah, although Cliff from Doom Patrol might be catching up with me. And that's just the episode.
Daniel, I have a question for you having to do with being the president of the Horror Writers Association. Have you guys gotten together as a group? And I could just imagine if you have, just the amount of different types of personalities in that room and what kind of party that might be.
Well, they have a convention every year because, they have to give out the Bram Stoker Awards and all that. But the horror community, you're right, it's very diverse. And I know people from decades of that just because I've been involved for so long. So, yeah, it's very interesting. And that's one of the most interesting groups of people you will ever encounter. Also a great community, also very supportive of one another for the most part. And here on Twitter, there's huge horror communities here on Twitter. It takes a little harder to find, and it's even harder now that Elon took over.
Big time.
But,
so I would ask you, as far as aspiring writers, let's say that writers are coming up, what kind of advice would you give them for those who are coming up and wanting to write maybe in your genre or in others?
Actually, and just to clarify, I've written in just about every genre there is. So I just like to write. I think the thing that I would tell people if they really want to be a writer and they're not one of these people that wants to role play as a writer that you see all over the internet, that just want, their book out there and don't care if it's meaningful or whatever. But people that really want to write should write things that matter to them. I mean, you can't listen to what's selling now. You can't have somebody tell you you should do this. You shouldn't try to be the next whoever. You should try to be the first you, because any other kind of writing ends up being a slog. I mean, I wrote that story that I was just telling you, The Peeling. I really enjoyed that story. It was really fun to write, but then you get a story that you have to write within 3,000 words to a theme. It's like going back to work. I do that too, but I don't enjoy it as much. So I would just say, believe in what you want to write and don't listen to all the gurus out there who, if they actually knew what they were going to do with a book, would have already written and gotten famous.
Absolutely. Thanks for that. And we're coming up on our time. We've pretty much hit the 30 minutes. Do you have any call to action? I have pinned a couple things up top having to do with the website and the NFTs and things of that nature. But is there any call to action from you having to do with the community?
Not other than that I hope some people will want those NFTs for the discounts coming up and the drops and all that stuff, and that you'll come join the Discord. I have the writing. I think it's the books of David Neal Wilson. We changed the name a couple times. We're not sure if we're going to bring all of Crossroad Press into that or not, but we might. Maybe signing up as a publisher also. Everybody go buy my new book.
Well, I absolutely love it. And I know I don't speak for everybody here, but it is really an honor to be having a discussion with you surrounding your art and what you've put out so far is extraordinary. And good luck going forward, although I don't think you need a lot of it. And my guess is someday we're going to see you in the credits for a movie. I can't imagine it not happening. So
I hope so. I have 12 cats to feed.
Oh my gosh, I love you even more. Who made that profile picture?
Friends? I think we just became best friends.
Who did that profile picture you have? It's really cool.
So which one?
The one the profile picture you're wearing right now
it's actually a picture of me that I took to this place that says you get a new profile picture every day, but they just take a picture that you choose, and then they give you a whole bunch of options of filters and stuff they do to it.
That's pretty cool. I like the whole steampunk look.
Yeah, I look almost exactly like that. It's just that there's sparkles and stuff around me. But that was a while back. I don't have the beard anymore.
You don't sparkle in real life like those vampires from that one book?
No, and neither do my vampire.
But thank you for coming, and I hope you come back again. And for those who host other spaces, reach out to him so he can do more. I think the community will love to know more about you. So all the best on that.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Stick around. We'd love to have you for the rest of the show. I think we've hit the mid-roll here. Jenny or TCT, would you like to...
Blockjock's trying to pawn it off on somebody.
They do it so much better than me, man. I could never pull it off.
I'm not the mid-roll person, man. That will be TCT or
I'll take care of it.
Coffee.
So
Okay,
we just got done talking to somebody very new in the ecosystem, right? Somebody who maybe doesn't understand this in the cryptocurrency world, and it's something that everyone should understand. When you buy cryptocurrency on a centralized exchange, it is not your money. You can lose it in an instant. So what we like to recommend here at Cardano Over Coffee is to take your funds off an exchange, especially if it's ADA, right? Because what you can do is you can stake it to a stake pool. I'm Hero Pool. You can stake to me. You got Epoch Pool, co-creator of this show. You got Lido Nation, who runs Lido Pool, does a lot of amazing work. TCT down there is part of the Summon crew. They have an ISPO going on, so you can earn some of their tokens through their pool. Jenny runs a secret pool, so you can't stake there. Someday, maybe. We'll figure it out. We're working on it. But the key is to take your funds off an exchange, right? Because you can and will lose them, just like I did in Celsius Network. So don't be me. Don't lose your money. Self-custody is important. With that being said, I want to again thank David Neil Wilson for coming up. It was great talking to you, and exciting seeing you in the ecosystem. And again, like I said, if you need help with anything, learning anything, LidoNation.com is an amazing tool. Check it out. You could probably pick up a lot of things that you may not know there. So check that out. And that goes for everybody else. With that being said, I'm Hero Pool. I'm giving it back to Blockjock.
All right, guys. Thanks, man. So with that, we have got Six City up next. And I believe, they already requested?
Come on, Six City. We want to hear from you. I see you in the audience.
Where are you at?
Come on up. You have to be on the mobile device, which I'm sure you already know, because you are a Twitter space veteran.
In Cardano. Right, Jenny?
Cardano.
With the UTXO.
All right.
Extended.
Going into the baritone.
Okay,
Welcome,
too far.
Welcome,
too
Six
far.
City. Yeah,
Six City, please save us.
Six City.
Hey, what's going on?
Please join us.
Man?
Ooh, that's a guitar.
We're going to sing along.
A guitar, I like it.
How about the coffee song? Can I play it?
Yes.
Please.
Can you hear the guitar and the vocals okay at the same time?
Yes.
Yep.
And my kazoo? I got a fucking kazoo.
Yeah, kazoo. Yes.
Hit the kazoo. Let's go.
All right. Well, if I don't have my coffee in the morning, I'm a monster. I can't explain the way it takes away all of the stress of the 4 hours of sleep I got just 10 minutes ago. I don't know why I got this sickness, but the medicine is gold. I hold the mug like I'm holding for dear life, or on the edge of sanity, or like a killer with a knife. You might say that's a problem, and I don't disagree. So please don't try and take my coffee cup away from me. If I don't have my coffee in the morning, I'm a monster. I can't explain the way it takes away all of the stress of the 4 hours of sleep I got just 10 minutes ago. I don't know why I got this sickness, but that medicine is gold. I'm in the kitchen just begging for a fix, piling on anxiety I watch with each and every drip. And when it's finally ready, I grab my cup and leave the house. And every single time I always burn the hell out of my mouth. If I don't have my coffee in the morning, I'm a monster. Can't explain the way it takes away all of the stress of the 4 hours of sleep I got just 10 minutes ago. I don't know why I got this sickness, but the medicine is gold. Listen, if I don't have my coffee in the morning, I'm a monster. I can't explain the way it takes away all of the stress of the 4 hours of sleep I got 10 minutes ago. Don't know why I got this sickness, but the medicine is gold. And I'll take the coffee black so it could emulate my soul. Pour lots of cream and sugar so that everybody knows that I'm at my weakest when I don't have you around. When I die, all that I ask is that you bury me in ground. If I don't have my coffee in the morning, I'm a monster. I can't explain the way it takes away all of the stress. The 4 hours of sleep I got just 10 minutes ago. I don't know why I got this sickness, but the medicine is gold. Woo!
Very nice. Love it, man.
Bravo.
Hell yeah, thank you very much. I always, Cardano over coffee, I have to play the coffee song. That's one of my favorite songs to play. It's like, whenever I play out live, if I bomb my set, I know I have that song at the end, and people will at least appreciate that a little bit. So I always have that in the back pocket for that, and that's what we're starting out with today. How's it going?
It's going good, man. Good to have you on here, and that what a great pick me up. I absolutely love that song.
Hell yeah, appreciate it.
Give me nostalgia, man, from like the CNFT con, sitting out in the smoking lounge, playing some guitar with you and Shard and everybody.
That was a good time.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
A good time.
Good to have you here.
I appreciate that. It's good to be here. I haven't been on in a long time. It's been too long, actually, so I apologize. Been busy, very busy.
Don't ever let it happen again, or I will stalk you down.
Well, I would invite that. As long as you do it in a creepy way and not like a civilized way, we're okay.
Well, of course.
Perfect. Thank you.
So you've been busy. What's going on with Six City, man?
Oh, so Six City has been doing a lot of things. Obviously, for folks who may not know me in particular, my name is Jimmy. I run a project called Six City. We're a music platform, a minting platform. We do books, we do comics, we do movies, anything multimedia. Like I've been really trying to dig into. Started out obviously I'm a music performer, amateur music performer, and I perform under the name Six City. Six City celebrated its 1 year here on Cardano not too long ago, which is awesome too. So, I came into the scene wanting to learn how to make music NFTs. We learned how to make music NFTs courtesy of my friend Freddie, who's now like my full-on back-end dev. He's a fucking wizard. So we've been just pumping out new stuff all the time.
Do I know?
What's that?
Do I know Freddie?
Freddie is from Tails and
Mermaida's husband?
Yep.
Awesome. I'm glad that he's working for you. You got an amazing dev.
He's awesome. So he the Mermaida stake pool actually switched over to Six City. We actually rebranded that into Six City. So it's called Six City Mermaids to kind of keep that name.
I didn't know
going.
that.
Yeah.
I'm just learning this right now. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. Way to go, man. That's awesome that you did that.
Yeah, there was, I don't want to get a lot of personal business out there, but it was definitely the right move to make, and it helped out, it helped them out a ton, getting some additional delegation, because that's a lot of how they earn like money as, to support the family. So we've been trying to do a lot of different things with partnerships to get some delegation into that stake pool, closing in on 1 million, which is really cool. But so Six City, the main thing that we've been known for, I guess, if you ask anyone who knows, every epoch we drop a new fungible token through our faucet, through drip drops, through tap tools, And that fungible token has a song from an artist who's either in Cardano or wanting to get into the space. We distribute these for free to the community for that epoch, while we kind of lend a platform to that artist to kind of give them a little bit of props what is it? We're in 387. That marks 88 consecutive epoch drops that we've done without missing a single epoch to the community. So if you guys are interested in music and things of that sort, it's, like I said, it's free. We do have a full-on record shop with 41 or 42 entries from artists who are selling their albums, EPs, singles, what have you. That's on our Discord server, and working it into my website. I'm kind of a shit web developer, so I'm trying to figure out how all that's going to work and do Cardano Press. But so obviously the music thing has been going great. We've been pushing out tons of music, giving artists opportunities to own their IP and make whatever they want without having to worry about too many hands cutting into their profits and their earnings. Recently, I paired with Mike Does Art from Hidden Chamber Comics, and we released his first comic on Cardano. It's a fully interactable, like page-turning, embedded HTML5 comic book reader built into the NFT. It does come with the PDF as well. So I've been trying to get into that, which has been really, really fun. We released an on-chain game, just the game of Snake for fun. Got a couple more that I've been planning. We've been starting to do podcasts too. My buddy Savager at We Like Shooting does they're a bunch of gun enthusiasts, and they wanted to tokenize their podcast. So we started doing that. There's a couple free versions on the Discord server and a couple paid versions too, if you want. And then I guess in July, took over Retro Sound NFT, which was one of the OG music NFT projects on Cardano. It was one of the first ones I had actually discovered. And it was kind of unfortunate because they had their season 1 mint. They sold a ton. I mean, this was back in February, March. So ADA was not 50 cents. It was, well over the $1.50, $2 range, I think even. And they sold 3,500 NFTs. The musician, his name is Deep Blue. He does some amazing work. But a lot of the team just kind of slowly backed out and left Deep Blue by himself. He was the only person who was doxxed. So we had been in talks for a while about me taking that project over and giving it some new life. And in end of July, we did that. So Deep Blue's still in the project, still working on some things, but I've paired with a good friend of mine. His name is Odd Shape Shadow. He's a musician here on Cardano. He does a ton of great music. And if you've delved any bit into the music scene in Cardano, you've probably heard his name. So the next drop that we are working on has 20 some tracks from Odd Shape Shadow, a lot of cool artwork. So super, super hype about that. We're kind of holding off on that until the time is a little bit better. I'm not interested in doing a drop just to do a drop. We're working on rebuilding the community and kind of building hype around that. But I guess the most interesting part over the last few weeks has been my acquisition of the Charlz Token project. And, when I first got into Cardano, Charlz Token was one of the first meme coins that came out. I believe it was minted on January 7th because the policy just locked. I just burnt a ton of tokens. But they were one of the very first projects to kind of invite me in as a musician. And the community was super awesome with me. The guys who had run the project had they invited me in. They gave me a platform. Jacob, who was their developer, actually he went super out of his way to generate a 10,000 piece collection for me and host the mint and do all that stuff. And he built it for me for free. So I was really appreciative of that. And then I got, obviously this was in, January. Then I started getting really, really busy with Six City stuff, and I kind of stopped really going into the community. And I heard from a couple people that things weren't going so great out there, and it looked like you know, it looks like the attention to the community just wasn't as strong as it used to be, which I get. Like, meme coins during a bear market don't have too much of a purpose, but I also think that there are right and wrong ways of doing it. And certain things could have been handled a little bit better, but I was fortunate enough to meet with a couple of the owners who were there for Charlz Token, and asked if they would consider letting me take over the project and breathe some new life into it, and that's what we've been doing. We took it over a couple of weeks ago. Since then, we have a new Discord server that we've invited everybody to. We even also have a free NFT mint that we've been doing for the Charlz Token. It's called the Herd membership. So pretty much everything that we're going to be doing going forward is going to revolve around owning that piece. Fortunately, it's just 2 ADA. You get most of that back, and it comes with a really neat 3D asset that we're working on actually implementing into certain metaverses. We've partnered with our good friends over at Pocket Town, and they've been doing a ton of really cool stuff for Six City and Charlz. I've been able to see a lot of their development. We were able to, Six City is now a fully functional minting platform. So we handle minting for everybody, and they ended up asking us to take over their mint, and we've been really fortunate to work closely with them, because I've got to see a lot of really neat development. I have been, for metaverse stuff, it's mainly just been what other people have been telling me, and you can just like catch a video. But I was able to, hop on just a video chat with them, and they're like, hey, you want to see some cool stuff? And I got to see a whole bunch of neat production. So that was really fortunate. But yeah, the Charlz thing has been great, seeing a lot of old community members that I saw back in January start to roll back in and share some funny memes and just screw around again. Really, that was probably my favorite part about all of it, was just, how much fun we had.
Right. And, it seems to me like, and from just what you've talked about so far, is that every time we go into a bear market, there's a bit of consolidation, right? And certain projects maybe are struggling, but it doesn't mean that, they're bad projects, right? It just means that we're in a bear market and they're struggling. And it almost seems to me like you're creating almost kind of a communal effect through adding these projects into Six City. Is that something that you'd originally intended, or how'd you start rolling into this?
In real life, my wife and I had talked about like adopting. We have 2 kids, but we also thought about adopting because it's a good thing to do. And, I'd never thought about it on Cardano, and it was every single time. It's always been a crime of opportunity. Like, someone has messaged me about, someone messaged me about RetroSound. They're like, hey, are you the new owner of RetroSound? I'm like, no, what are you talking about? Like, oh, they're looking for a new owner. So it's like, okay, well, I think about it a little bit, and it's like, do I have time for this to make sure it is successful, or to give it an opportunity to be successful? And it's like, am I the right person for this? And if so, well, then I'm going to go forward with it. And so, no, the answer to the question, no. I remember when I first made the Six City token, when it first came out in February. Like, the second I made that token, I was a ball of nerves. I was this huge nervous wreck, because it was like that, you make the token, okay, it's official. Like, I have work to do. Like, I'm not just a musician pushing out NFTs. I have a token. I have a white paper. I have something that I've made a commitment to the community that I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. And I have to do it, or else, that's not what I do. It's just going to be a bad look.
Right.
Weren't
Absolutely.
you like at the first Shillamania? I think I remember. That's where I remember you showing up and being like, wow, who's this person here?
Oh my gosh. That's funny.
That's coming to a 1-year anniversary, by the way. That's crazy.
I know. That is wild. Yeah, the Six City token 1-year anniversary is in February. The first 1-year anniversary of my first NFT, I think, was January 3rd. So it's just like, it's so weird how time just flew by. Like, we've done so much stuff, and it's like I feel like I haven't even started.
Well, we've got Six City up here, so for anybody that has any questions surrounding the project and or what they're doing, please do so. Nudes, what's going on, man?
Hey,
Dudes.
Primo.
Yo, what's going on, Cardano over coffee? Happy Friday to everybody. I love this episode so much because two awesome projects talking about blockchain publication. I'm just it's bee's knees over here, so I'm all about it. Super, super excited, and congratulations to everything that you've been building. I love Six City. I think it's one of the greatest things on Cardano. Totally different and just like embodies what we can do with blockchains as a platform for distribution, media content ownership, and all of the amazing things. I'm super stoked too that you're taking over the Charlz project. That's been one of the classic, really fun ones. Another aspect of blockchain I think is a key distinctive feature of Cardano is how much fucking fun we have all the time. So cheers to that, and stoked to see where it goes. I have a lot of questions I guess I could ask, but I'm curious to know, one is kind of a niche market is I'm curious to know as a musician, are you into vinyl at all? And when will we continue to push this ship forward to kill the digital download that comes with vinyl sales? It's a collector's market, and every vinyl that you buy from a popular artist comes with this little piece of paper where you can get a digital download to collect some MP3s. And most people just throw them away. It's kind of a dead medium. And it just seems so ripe for the picking in such an interesting, I think, area of collectors, owners, scarcity, and all of that. So I'm curious to know if you've thought about wading into that area at all. And congrats again to all the work that you've done.
Hey, thanks, man. So I love vinyl. I don't personally. I used to have a big vinyl collection, and I play in a band. My bass player has an enormous vinyl collection. When my turntable died in a flood, I don't know why it was sitting on the floor. I'm an idiot. But I had pretty much given him all of my vinyl records, mainly because also like the house that we were in was really, really small. I kind of regret it now because I have a little bit more room in this room I'm speaking in, but it's okay. I do a lot of my listening, via streaming right now personally. But I love the idea of vinyl, and so there are a couple things that I've been working on, and this is probably going to go into a little bit different area because of the inaccessibility of vinyl. Like in most places, if you want to get vinyl pressed on anything, it's like 6 months to a year out, which that part just sucks because like we're recording, like my band is recording an album. And all the places that we've talked to for vinyl are insanely backed up. But it leads me to kind of what we're doing with the Six City comic book store. So Hidden Chamber Comics launched a comic called Bittersweet. And when we launched the comic, we made a couple NFT variants that had a golden background and a golden signature on front. And one of the cool things about this comic is if you mint that comic, Mike from Chamber Comics will mail you a physical version of that comic signed in the gold print. So that was like kind of our first test at physical merch. My dude David over at Crypto Threads, he does a lot of stuff here in Cardano, and he owns a clothing shop that you can pay with various forms of crypto. That's where there's actually like Six City merch that he's put out. We're working on some Charlz merch as well and looking to expand that greatly. But we did an NFT drop where if you minted 5 of these NFTs, that he would mail you one of the shirts that he was giving out at CNFT Con. So the physical stuff, because you're right, it is a collector's market, and that stuff is huge. I'm working personally like on my own music, working on an album, and I want to be able to get it put on cassette, and I want to be able to do a situation when we launch the album that a certain amount, if you pull a certain NFT, I'll mail you, a physical version of this cassette. Once vinyl becomes more accessible, you bet your ass that I want to be able to, I would kill to be able to finance for artists, like a short-term vinyl release, even if it's like a 50 or a 100 press, something really, really cool. that we can do to get out to collectors, because you're right, like, and vinyl is probably when you're talking about collectible stuff, like that stuff never dies. Like a CD are in bins everywhere because nobody cares about them, but vinyl is still, like, you still have people who will search to the ends of the world for vinyl.
Yeah, a lot of that has to do with the artwork that's inside, and in some cases, and it's cool they're bringing that back, because back in the 60s and 70s, some of the art that was there and the fold out and the extra stuff that you got within the album was absolutely amazing. So yeah, I don't think that'll ever go away.
It's a mix of it. It's a mix. I'm a vinyl person. Nuts knows that. We're both vinyl aficionados. So yeah, I would love to start getting my Cardano music and vinyl too. So I'm looking forward to that. I know the Clays did a cassette. Did you get one of those on CNFT Con?
I did not. I'm very sad about that.
They did that, and I thought that was pretty cool. And it's funny how you say more accessible, but I have more places to play my vinyls than I have to do my cassettes, to be honest. I'm afraid that my cassette player is gonna like destroy the cassette, so I won't even try it.
That's fair.
You got to be
That's
careful.
fair.
Hey, so we're coming up to the end. We started a few minutes late. Is there anything that you feel like you've missed that you wanted to add into here before we close up?
Oh,
I know you have so much going on. I mean, give us a little rundown on all the things that call to action.
Okay. So on the so we button up the Charlz Token right now. Obviously, Charlz Token is just rebuilding this community, getting people back into the Discord, offering our the free NFT mint that's going on right now. That's linked in the Discord. We could probably tweet it out too. I think CeeLo is running the Charlz Token Twitter handle right now. What's up, CeeLo? We could probably share that out if anybody's interested. And then working on a season 2 NFT project. It's going to be called Charlz on Chain. It's going to be 100% on chain artwork. I've been working on all the different fun variations for weeks now, so that's going to be a super fun thing. No release date on that yet, but it's when it comes, it comes. As far as Six City, it's really just we're building our brand, getting artists involved. So the call to action is if you have a friend or you are a musician, I want to talk to you. Like I want to feature you on an Epoch. I want to drop an album for you. I want to do something to get your first steps into Web3 and make it super, super easy. And so that's kind of my goal there. And then as far as Six City is concerned, like we just keep building. If there's something multimedia related that I can help out with, that's what I'm doing. Like I said, we're building comics. I've got a guy who wants to drop a book. We actually dropped the first audiobook on Cardano during Christmas time. I did that, gave that out for free on Tap Tools. That was a fun little thing to do. I want to do more audiobooks. So for authors that are out there who want to have like an audiobook, something of that nature, I want to build that for you. Anything that I can do, like Cardano is kind of where I put my I cashed out of pretty much every crypto last year, and I put everything on Cardano. Like this is where I'm going to grow. This is where I'm going to build. Nice. I'm going to develop here. So that's where it is.
I'm right there with you, my friend. We're kindred spirits in that regard. And I just pinned up to the top having to do with the something that you had pinned on your Twitter page.
Oh, cool. Let's go.
Do we get a last song before you just close it out? I want music. You know me.
Let's see. I probably could. Hold on. I was not prepared for a second song, but I could. Let's see. Hold on. I think I got this. Oh, you know what I could do? I could just give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up. There's always one line that I mess up here, and I don't want to mess it up. So I'm going to do this. And This is
Pull
the
up the
song.
lyrics.
Yeah, that's
While
what I'm
he's
doing.
pulling up the lyrics, this song is brought to you by Rare Evo, sponsor for the show. Please, everyone, check out Rare
Unofficial
Evo.
sponsor for the show.
Unofficial. I'm calling him a sponsor no matter what. And it's coming August 24th in Denver, Colorado. Gaylord.
All right. This song is this is actually a song I did with Crypto Threads for his. He does a lot of really cool graffiti art, and a lot of his NFTs are like based on graffiti art that he's done. He's done some really cool things with like Wild Tanks and all those guys. So this is the song that we did for that NFT drop that actually just sold out. It's called Writing on the Wall. I know that I all too often want to look in the mirror and assume that the problem starts and ends with me. 'Cause too many people look at me, not telling me what they think or what they want to say. But they talk, oh they talk, and they smile in my face. But ain't that the way we are now? Though I wish I could see or beg for honesty, I don't wanna be this way. 'Cause I live in a sick city, a sick city. When you look up, it's just cloudy skies at night. In a sick city, a sick city. But I'll move on, everything'll be alright. I know that I am just singing to myself, hoping someday someone sings along. Though I write these words for me, it might be nice to finally see someone else who feels this way. But they talk, oh they talk, and they smile in my face. But ain't that the way we are now? Though I wish I could see or beg for honesty, I don't wanna be this way. 'Cause I live in a sick city, a sick city. When you look up, it's just cloudy skies at night. In a sick city, a sick city. But I'll move on, everything'll be alright. And I look down at the city lights and rain starts to pour. It's going down on every block, things that I've never seen before. And I'm trying to get by in hopes that no one sees my face this time. 'Cause I live in a sick city, a sick city. When you look up, it's just cloudy skies at night. In a sick city, a sick city. But I'll move on, everything'll be alright. In a sick city, a sick city. Oh, in a sick city, a sick city. I'll move on, everything'll be alright.
Very nice.
Bravo, bravissimo.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you for stopping by. Don't be a stranger. Come more often.
Thank you for listening to Cardano Over Coffee. We want to thank our guests David Wilson and Sick City for joining us today. Make sure to use all the links down below to find out more about our guests. Make sure to follow our podcast, YouTube, and Twitter to stay up to date with everything we have going on at Cardano Over Coffee. Make sure to join us live Monday through Friday, 2:30 p.m. Universal Time, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget, bring your coffee.